Morning Facebook, how are we? You guys clicked on before I put the kettle on, so sorry, you were staring at the back of my head. How's it going? How is everyone's morning? We've got a few people coming on, amazing. So I'm in the office this morning making coffee. I'm late this morning because I did a PT session from 8 till 9 this morning, which is really unusual. I normally do either 6 till 7 or 7 till 8. So I feel like I've had a bit of a lay-in this morning, which is nice. But yeah, still need to get the caffeine kicking. I also can't move. My legs are, I've been brutalised by my personal trainer. I'm not even sure what I was doing. Lunges and extensions and all sorts of crazy stuff. But for my skydive now, I've got, I think it's 4 kilos to go to be allowed to jump out the plane. So I've got 4 weeks to do it in. We are still working at it. But anyway, enough about me. Today's video, I wanted to talk to you about approaching agents. Now, it's a bit of a little bit of a moan here, I guess, for a second. I've done a lot of one-to-one training the last few days. So I did a speed coaching session yesterday with Ian Walmsley, which was amazing. We had a few breakthroughs and a few interesting sessions. I see a video from Ian this morning, which was really, really cool. He's had a few ideas and light bulb moments, which is great. And then I did some one-to-one training over the weekend, which I think most of you who will have seen the video knew about. And one of the questions I was asked is, would I make a live call to an agent there and then? Yeah, no problem. Absolutely no problem at all. We found a house, we phoned them, we picked up the opportunity to enter into the conversation with them. We didn't pick up the house, but a couple of days, we're moving that pipeline through. But the point about this is actually, I don't think there's enough people when they're going on to training and things like that are actually getting live examples of phone calls into agents. And actually what that tends to create is a little bit of uncertainty of how to actually approach that agent. How do you pick up the phone and actually open the conversation with an agent to talk about rent to rent without switching them off, without them thinking you're mental and doing something illegal, which, I've had that a few times when I first started. So I just wanted to do a really quick video on, my tips on this, I guess. And also to say, I guess a word of warning, I only know 2 trainers, myself and Ross, who will happily make a call into an agent in a room full of 50 people, and because it's what we actually do all day every day. I don't know any other trainers that do live calling, and so my advice that I'm going to give you now actually comes from the work that I do day in, day out. I've got a target to add 3 new houses to my portfolio in this quarter, so I'm actually spending a day today appraising deals and getting on the phone to agents and things like that. So in preparation for that, I thought I'd give you guys a bit of advice. So the first thing you need to do when you're ringing an agent, whether it's to source rent to rent or any other strategy at all, below market values developments or anything like that, is actually remember that they are a human being at the other side of the phone. Ask them who they are. Ask them what their name is. Ask them how they are. Have a conversation, start building a relationship. Because when you ring up and you say, hey, how are you? What's your name? Who is it I'm speaking to? And I'm Sarah, etc. You could actually start to break down the barriers of salesperson, person being sold to, and you actually go into a place of conversation. And when you're in a place of conversation, what happens is that people will either warm to you or they won't. Obviously, not everybody will. That's the nature of the world, Not everybody likes everybody. But the people that you do warm to and the people that you can break those barriers down with as quickly as possible are the people you'll ultimately go on to do with business with sooner rather than later. Okay, so that's a really important point. The second point is what you want to do is you want to get to the point really quickly. I said point a lot then, didn't I? What you want to do is get to the topic of your conversation as quickly as possible. Everyone's busy. Okay, when an agent picks up the phone, they want to be talking business. They don't want to be talking about holidays and, all different manner of things. I don't know if anyone knows of Jordan Belfort and the straight line persuasion technique that he trains. Jordan Belfort is the guy from Wolf of Wall Street. So he's the guy that created the straight line persuasion tactics. And if you've seen the film, you'll know what that created in his world. I've seen Jordan speak twice and really, really quite like him. As an entrepreneur, I think he's a really interesting guy to listen to, and his straight line persuasion teaches you that actually people want to talk about business. They don't want to talk about the painting on their wall. They don't want to talk about their, the holidays when it's not somebody that they know and trust and, have a relationship with. If they're talking business, they want to talk business. And yes, you can build rapport whilst still talking business. And that is there's a striking balance here. Building rapport doesn't mean getting to know them intimately in a personal way. It means building rapport with them and working out how you can help them to achieve their goals. And I think that's a really important part when you're approaching an agent, is that you think, what am I actually bringing to the table to help them? It's not about you. Yeah, it's about them. It's about how you help them to achieve what they want to achieve, which is either a sale of a house or a rental of a house or whatever it might be. Okay, so that's the second point. Okay, is get to the point and actually, come to them and explain to them who you are, what you do, and how you can help them. That's really, really important. Another tip, so number 3, is to be very honest about what you're doing. Okay. One of the hardest things to do once you've built a relationship with somebody is to backtrack and rebuild it in a different way. Okay, so if when you start building a relationship with an agent, you say the line, I'm sourcing property on behalf of an investor, or I'm sourcing property on behalf of a client, or I'm doing something on behalf of a third party, however you introduce that, that agent knows from the word go that you aren't the one that's going to be signing that paperwork. It's not going to be your solicitor that deals with that person at the end. It's not you taking on that deal. What that ultimately means is that they don't get pissed off at the other end when you suddenly introduce a third party. Okay, so I can see loads of thumbs and hearts coming through. If this is helpful to you guys, give me some hearts and thumbs so I know that you're listening and it's a useful information. This stuff, guys, when you are approaching an agent, especially if you're sourcing to package on, or you're sourcing on behalf of a corporate client for rent to rent, let's say you're doing service accommodation to house contractors in an area, and you've had an order from a client for maybe you need a house for 4 guys for so many months. When you explain that it's not you becoming the tenant, actually it's somebody else becoming the tenant right from the beginning, my experience is that actually they're far more open to you than they would be if you did it the other way around, and you really built a relationship as if you were going to become the tenant, and then you randomly introduce a third party at the other end. So then my top 3. What I would also say is that any of you guys that are on training, I know there are loads of you that are doing lots of different training all over the place, and I massively, massively applaud you for taking action, because you absolutely have to. Okay, make sure when you are choosing somebody to train with that you ask them that question. Are we going to make live calls in the room? Am I going to get to see you do what you do day in, day out? Now, if the answer is not an immediate, yep, no problem, I would ask the question as to whether actually that's what they do day in, day out. Okay. Now, the reason I learned as quickly as I did is because I spent time learning from people that were actually doing the job all day, every day. And so actually, I think it's really important. My guys, my team, they listen to me on the phone all day, every day. I can see Kat's on here actually. Hello, Kat. They listen to me on the phone, making calls, negotiating, structuring deals, positioning opportunity. That's the best way to learn, by listening to it. So make sure that you've got that opportunity to do that inside of any training that you go to. There are some incredible trainers out here in this group and outside of this group. Whoever you choose, make sure that that's something that they can bring to the table, because that's going to make a huge difference. Everyone pitches slightly differently. Everyone brings something slightly different to the table. So just make sure it's going to work for you. A couple of other things that just minor additions to this when approaching agents is making sure you can actually deliver on what you promise to them. Okay, and by that, what I mean by that is if you go and make an offer on a rent to rent, for example, and it's all accepted, and then it all drops out at the end, not only are you going to piss the agent off, but you're also going to kill your relationship with them. They are never going to want to work with you again. They're never going to want to give you other deals, because ultimately all it creates is you make them look like a dick to their client. And anybody who's been in business or been in sales ever before that involves a few different parties in the process will know that if somebody makes you look like an idiot in front of your client, you will never ever do business with them again. It's just as it is, it doesn't matter. You just wouldn't risk it again. So you need to make sure that you can deliver on what you're committing to when you approach that agent. Okay. Other things, I guess, be consistent in who you are, what you're saying, be relentless, make sure you're making the calls on a consistent basis, track your activity, have your hit list and go after them as regularly as you can. We use an activity tracker, so we will call our agents once a week, every week, until they give us a house. If there's a house on the market that is available and we want it, we will call about that house every single week until it's either gone or we've got it. So it's really important that you have some sort of activity tracker in your business that will help you to recognise what work you're actually doing, because sometimes you get to the end of the week and actually look at your activity tracker and think, shit, I've done no work this week. I've been distracted by pushing paper from left to right. Happens, you know, it happens to all of us. But two, it allows you over a period of time to look at how the results are changing in your business. So if you're making 50 calls a week, you know, and you're only doing one deal every 3 months, something's going to need to be looked at. You know, you're going to need to identify where the problem is and get some help on fixing that issue. You know, but if you're making 10 calls and getting 10 offers out, but then you're doing 2 deals a month, actually what you're doing is working. So you can then scale that up in the way that you're already doing it so that you can get more results, and maybe do 20 calls and do 4 deals. Does that make sense? It's all about understanding your ratios. So I hope that's been helpful. My kettle's boiled now, so I'm going to shoot. I've got a day of appraise and development deals today, which is going to be very exciting. We're going to get a load of offers out, which I'm also very excited about. Again, target to build 10 houses. We've got offers out on way more than 10, so hopefully something will stick at some point soon. We've got commercial development of 3 in the running, and then we've got another 7 to find. So wish me luck. Have an amazing day, guys, and I will speak to you later on. Bye.